certainly in terms of the singers, if he wasn't this sort of Cockney, geezer, there's no way
Danny
he would have
Dyer.
been second. Yeah, Danny Dyer, sort of, and then he's got an okay lounge singer voice.
You weren't freaked out by the mother and son singers or the
don't
ballet
like
act.
The fact I liked Shannon and Peter's first audition.
Oh, they
I
creep
did
me
like
out.
them. He creeps me out. I agree. He's got creepy eyes that follow you around the room. I will.
Yeah, and his kids are there waving like they walk into them doing that every Saturday.
And I am a bit gutted as well that the guy who sung the song about the number 19 bus didn't get through to the semi-finals.
But he would have needed the whole 90 minutes.
The reason they choose a lot of the acts they choose is because they're the ones that have resonated with the public, and they know a lot of people will pick up the phone for, say, like the mother and son act. And I don't know who was voting for them bloody stormtroopers, though.
I remember in recent years saying I enjoyed the semi-final week more than
No, not this year.
And
they put through like Davros. They put through that polar bear. They put some of those.
All I've learnt now over the 9 years it's been on, not the 10.
Yeah, it's its 10th year. This is its 10th year. It's the start of its 10th year.
Technically, yes. I'll allow that.
Yeah. That's what they're saying. It's not their 10th anniversary. That is next year. And me and you have been very vocal about this on Twitter. That it is its 10th year. Your 9th birthday is the start of your 10th year, but it's not your 10th anniversary.
I don't know why it bothers me, but it really does.
No, it bothers me as well. We've talked about this already. But I have to say, I did like Richard Jones, the magician who won it. I liked his audition. I liked his semi-final performance. But I felt his final performance was very pandering. And I think what it was the fact that he thought, well, no magician has ever got through before by performing like a decent trick. Like a few years ago, that bloke set himself on fire and
that
came
wasn't
fifth.
Enough.
And last year was like a magician came second, didn't he?
It's like, what have I got to do? I set myself
exactly.
on fire.
So I know I'll just do this very patriotic thing about this guy who was captured during the war, and just do like a little card trick, and that won it in the end. Whereas did
that group who were shadow people, they did a whole British thing in the final, and they won that.
I think it is very much.
You do have to remember that the Queen is going to see the final.
But the voting is very much done by Nans. The best act at the final was in fact the act that was made up of all the old acts who'd already won it. I thought that was the best thing on the final was this group.
The only thing that made me smile.
Yeah, like diversity, Ashley and Pudsey, George Sampson, Old Men Grooving, the Drummer Boy, Attraction, as Gary mentioned, they were there, Stavros Flatley.
Spellbound.
But one question I had is, where was Jai McDowell in all this?
I know, not even mentioned.
No one from that 2011 series, or no one from as you said, Paul Potts. I think he's touring. I think they mentioned that they had someone from every year apart from that Michael McIntyre year that everyone's forgotten. Wallander. Which Gary will talk about.
I like Wallander. I like the pacing. You're not going to like me, but I do like things that are slow and developing.
But you don't.
No, I do.
You often say, I don't know where it's going. It's too slow.
Like the old way you used to have to wait for your photos, like slow and developing.
Very good. Snappy.
You are on fire. Go to the gym every day before the podcast.
He's good. Kenneth Branagh stars. This is the final series that the BBC will make of the adaptations of the Swedish books.
Mainly because he's dead.
Many people believe that the Swedish show is superior, and I have to admit I've not seen too many of it, and I think possibly from a crime drama point of view it is. But I kind of fell in love with Wallander during a time when, this is going to sound really weird, I'm going to be very honest, I went down to my uncle's and my nan wasn't very well, and she was ringing us every kind of half an hour at one point. So we kind of had lots of things planned for this holiday but couldn't really do anything. So we put Wallander on, and we were already a bit depressed, and this just kind of carried us into it. But in a kind of like...
Into a full-on depression.
I was going to say.
In a kind of like... I kind of see where this is coming from, and it made us kind of identify with him. You know, he is just completely morose and down. There's nothing exciting about him, but he is a darn good crime detective, you know, and that's what I like about it. It's shot beautifully. You know, because Kenneth Branagh's involved, they do make it look more like a film, and the most recent one that I watched was shot in South Africa. There was a little bit of a problem where because there was a lot of South Africans in there, I almost had to. I did turn on the subtitles at one point
because they were coming at some point, not for Peaky Blinders.
Well, exactly, because there was because basically it was so integral to the plot. You know what's being said. You know, it's not an action show. That if you missed anything,
definitely not.
No, and I know Luke doesn't like it because nothing happens, and that's why I quite like it in a sense.
It's not
and
that
it's a bit of a guilty pleasure.
No,
I would disagree
that nothing happens.
Nothing
I don't
happens.
think that.
It shouldn't be an hour and a half. I think if they took out all the bits where Kenneth Branagh pauses for about 2 minutes before answering a question.
No, you have to leave those in. Those are the best bits.
No, they're not. No, Gary, that's a lie.
How can they be?
Felt like one of those episodes of Murder, She Wrote where Jessica Fletcher goes and solves the crime that the local police force can't solve at all. I did like the fact that this wasn't in Sweden, so we didn't have to deal with the fact that they were all speaking English but looking at papers that had all Swedish writing on them.
I know, I can't get through that.
But I just feel like Kenneth Branagh saps the life out of everything in this, and I think Luke will agree with me. It's just sort of like... He
behaves in this as if somebody turns the camera on, but he just does not want to be there.
No, it's like, I need to go and direct Cinderella now.
If you don't latch on to him, which I never have, then the show has nothing else for you to latch on to.
If you listen to him in interviews, he's absolutely charming and he's full of laughs.
He has a great laugh, yeah. It's like somebody gives him really bad news.
The only person I liked in this was the female South African cop. I thought she was very good.
It's another example. It's a show I think I should like because it's sort of loved in the critical world, but I just don't, and you can't make yourself like a show. I don't find him that engrossing. I understand that what they do in this series is very interesting with him having dementia and everything like that, but I don't know.
Has he got dementia?
Yeah, that's where it's going. Not really. That's where the whole... You've seen that in the trailer for the whole series.
Is that where the stuttering came from in the first?
Yes.
Is that why he was struggling to answer questions?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't get that. I just thought he was just a bit slow. I was just like, we've got 90 minutes. Can you just bring it out a bit, please, Ken?
No.
Thanks.
No,
Thanks,
he's got dementia. I don't know. I just don't latch on to him. And then there's all, like you say, the Swedish element when nobody seems to acknowledge the fact that they were speaking perfect English. I don't know. I don't
know why we needed a adaptation of this when there is a. I know it didn't work the same way around with the killing in the bridge where we saw the we saw the American ones after we'd seen the originals. We'd seen this first before BBC screened the originals, so. Speaking of BBC4 foreign drama, let's talk about The Disappearance, which is a new French drama that started on Saturday night, aired the first 2 episodes. This is set in Lyon, in France, actually based on a Spanish series, fact fans.
That's weird, isn't it?
Yes. The Disappearance of
Spoiler.
a girl called Léa Morel, who's missing on the eve of her 17th birthday, where she goes to a local music festival with her best friend / cousin and her boyfriend that her parents know nothing about. And basically, she doesn't come home. She's just stopping out. She's with a friend, blah, blah, blah. But eventually they realise, she's gone missing. You get these secrets that start to spill out. Some of the secrets are sort of standard, like, she was doing drugs, she had a boyfriend. But then there's the bizarre secret that she was a really good motor racing driver.
Yeah, I thought that was just standard. I thought,
Is that our way of segueing into Top Gear later,
It might well be. But she's actually the Stig. That's the...
there you are.
Or Lustig.
But there was this whole thing about motor racing gloves and who did the gloves belong to, and it's, no, she didn't want to tell you because your brother was in a car accident.
If it does not fit, you must quit.
What I liked about this was the family aspect of this, where, again, it's a bit like people in the sort of literature, in the hype up to it, was comparing it to Broadchurch. No. And I think in terms of like the family's reaction to the disappearance, it does have some of that. But and the mother, who's played by the woman who was in The Returns, I don't know the actress's name. The character's Florence.
French lady.
She is the best thing in this for me. Where it falls down and where Broadchurch and The Killing and all of those others thrived was in the character, the police detective Molina. Yeah. Who's this new sort of rogue guy in town. He's come back to spend time with his own teenage daughter. They try and do some correlation between the two. He's got a teenage daughter who is like the worst person in the world ever. She's just like horrible.
The kids from Trapped, but
but worse. Basically, what happens in episode 2 is that his ex basically brings in a suitcase saying, she's living with you now. And then when the first scene of those two together, he's like, oh, should we have pizza tonight? No, I want sushi. And I'm just like, you're the worst person in the world.
As you say, those two kids in Trapped were so badly behaved and bullied.
Yeah, you almost wanted Andre to be rid of them. I don't know why he didn't want them to leave.
Your mother wants to take you. Yeah, go on, and off you go. You know?
Go on, you're horrible, go. But, I feel like if we'd made this with this script, and we'd just be saying how cliched it was if it was...
I think Melina, the police detective, going back to him, he's an older actor, but he looks like he stepped off the pages of a fashion magazine, as do most of the players. Certainly his female deputy, who is just hanging around in a really loose-fitting t-shirt. And she's very slender, even though her sort of character flaw is that she can't stop eating. She's eating in every scene.
Sorry, what channel is this on again?
And there's a scene, a scene with like the debriefing where they're all they're not sitting down like they used to in like The Bill, you know, when they all got debriefed. They're sort of hanging around, standing up by tables like they're like a flipping youth club or something like that. Someone, I think it was Alison Graham, reviewed it in the Radio Times, said if this was a British show, it would be wrapped up in episode 1 through the use of CCTV, but something they don't seem to have in Leon. Basically, there's nothing in this that we haven't seen before. It's not and done better elsewhere.
That's the biggest problem.
And I think now BBC 4 are trying to get away with showing any old tat as long as it's got subtitles. And I think now, like, you know, you got Channel 4 and More 4 doing their Walter Presents as well, that we are getting sort of overloaded by this European drama now.
But you think that if we've got it must be good.
That first 20 minutes of The Disappearance is really good, where you get the anguish, you get the waiting, you get all that stuff. I say the bits with the family are the best, but then at the end of the second episode, the dad goes off the deep end and starts beating up pimps.
As you do.
That's not part of the plot, that's just what happens in front.
Tell us something about Top Gear.
I will. I watched this with family on Sunday.
Again, was this your family or just with...
No, I pop round to different people every weekend.
With family, like...
Yes, my family. My dad's a big fan of the original, works with cars.
What, is that the one with Angela Rippon?
The one where it was full of people with 80s hair.
That was the original presenter of it was Angela Rippon.
The previous incarnation then with the three lads we know. All I would say is that the biggest problem was it was Matt LeBlanc and Chris Evans in the studio and on all the VTs. They have zero chemistry. Fair enough, it's the first one. Chris Evans is shouting a lot, but the worst thing they did was they just recreated everything from the previous series of Top Gear. They did nothing new. Rehash everything that the previous Top Gear was doing.
They didn't make the song their own then, like Louis Wolf?
No, they didn't do anything of their own. They've got a whole team of presenters. We didn't see any of those people. What they should have done is perhaps gone, these are the greatest hits from the previous series of Top Gear, we'll keep those, but here are our new twists on things. They didn't do that at all. It felt more like, these are some leftover bits that the three of them were going to do before, it all went wrong. Yeah. And we may as well do those with Matt LeBlanc and Chris Evans.
Have they got a new production team, or is it the same people behind the scenes?
Well, I think the main guy's gone with the original trio. But
and the woman, actually, isn't it? The woman who was producing it quit, didn't she? The original producer of the Chris Evans quit.
I wish you had seen it, even though you weren't Top Gear fans,
But then I wouldn't know, Luke, that they've recycled everything else, because I'd never seen the original.
They had Jesse Eisenberg, who is one of the most boring men in the world, and Gordon Ramsay on as the star in the rally car. It was a reasonably priced car, it's now a rally car. And they spent far too long getting the audience in the studio to decide which was, who of them had had the best car in their lives, whether Gordon Ramsay's Ferrari or Jesse Eisenberg's something else. That's only fun if you're in the studio. If you're watching at home, I mean, to be fair to them, it was never going to be an easy transition. This was the first episode It was always going to be difficult. People were always going to be disappointed, whatever they did.
Yeah.
It did get low ratings, and I think people may not go back to it because it